Hi, I'm Russ with ESBService.com, and today I wanted to talk to you about a couple of frequently asked questions I get, mainly regarding the tanning performance of the bed. Two common questions I get would be, first, the customer is not tanning. The second is the customer is striping in the tanning bed. Now, both of these questions would basically be on opposite ends of the spectrum. If a customer is not tanning, then obviously they're not getting enough. If the customer is striping, they're getting too much. So first, let me address the customer not tanning. First off, when you're using indoor tanning equipment like this, you want to first observe this label that's on the bed. This is called your warning label, and it talks about the dangers of overexposure to radiation. Some of the older models had this label on the bench, but usually on any tanning bed, it's on the front of the unit somewhere visible before you get into the tanning bed. Mainly on your warning label, I would bring your attention to your recommended exposure schedule. On this bed, this is a 20-minute bed, and it tells you for somebody with sensitive skin, if they burn easily and severely and they do not tan, then it's not recommended for a tanning bed. This would be skin type 1. You have skin type 2, 3, and 4 going light, normal, and dark. And this is also showing you week 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now this is your recommended exposure time. So if you have dark skin, say, on your first week and your tanning session, you should only go a maximum of 8 minutes. Overdoing it is not going to help. Just like if you had a weight set and you were trying to build up your muscles faster, you're actually going to hurt yourself. So I would recommend following this schedule actually. The second week, even if you have dark skin, the maximum you should be going is 11 minutes. And then the third week would be 15 minutes. And the fourth week, only after you've reached the fourth week would you go the maximum allowable session time of 20 minutes. Also, what's very important to observe is the fact that it tells you you need to allow 48 hours between tanning sessions. When you are tanning, your skin cells, specifically your melanocytes, are starting to produce melanin, which is actually a pink color to begin with, and it's kind of cloudy in your skin. Through repeated continued exposure of the UV, that melanin will start to brown, and again, only over time. This is what would be considered a healthy, proper tanning process, as opposed to just burning your skin, if you will, which I'll get to in a second. But you need to allow that 48 hours in between your sessions to observe your skin and see how it's reacting. If you see that you're getting quite pink, quite red pretty soon, you might want to back off on the time that you're going to get a better experience. Also, if you're not seeing the results that you want over time, and of course based on your skin type, you may want to increase how long you're going. Now, since the tanning lamps themselves are not emitting the optimum output until they reach 110 degrees Fahrenheit, that means that you might need to warm up the bed, say, for 3 or 4 minutes before getting into there, so you're getting the full dosage of UV. Otherwise, while the lamps are warming up and they're still cold, they're not really emitting the UV. They might be emitting visible light, but they're not emitting the UV that's going to contribute to your tan. Now, that addresses if somebody is not tanning. Of course, I would also recommend that they do not shower before going in the tanning bed, and try not to shower as long as you can after going into the tanning bed. I recommend, of course, keeping your tanning bed maintained well and fresh lamps and cleaned, no dusty lamps, no dusty reflectors or dirt, debris, and that type of stuff. Trusting you have those conditions, you should be getting a good tan, because the tanning bed, as certified by the FDA, has the maximum amount of allowable output. So the machine is designed to give you that tan. Just you have to basically follow the schedule and do it properly. Now, let's talk about if somebody is striping. If you take a look at these lamps here, actually, you'll see that there are spaces in between these lamps. Now, that's okay, again, if you're gradual about building up your tan. But if you're overdoing it, then you will actually get stripes in these positions on your back and on your chest. And that clearly is an indication of too much too soon. You're overexposing yourself, and you're actually getting a burn in the proximity of where these lamps are. And just like going out in the sun, if it's a really sunny day one day, in less than 1 day's time of being out in the sun, you can easily get a sunburn. If you overexpose yourself in the tanning bed, you can get a sunburn just as well. And what you'll see is your skin will dry up, it'll peel and flake off after a few days. And obviously this is not the proper way to enjoy this product. Again, striping basically means you're tanning too much too soon, and just simply back off and you'll have a much better tanning experience. Another thing to watch for would be the fact that you may be using aftermarket lamps, and of course that's going to affect your output, especially if you don't match up the specifications of those lamps. When you're using the OEM lamps, it's going to agree and coincide with your exposure schedule here. But if you're using aftermarket lamps, and say they're a lot weaker than the original lamps you had in your bed, that can cause a degradation in your performance, obviously. If you're replacing 5.0 lamps with 9.9 rated lamps, obviously it's going to be too much. You're going to be overdoing it, and you're going to be overexposing yourself. So basically that's another thing to watch for, is if you're not using original lamps, I recommend that you do use original lamps, but if you're not, then you need to compensate the amount of time that you're going. If you have weaker lamps, you want to go for more time, and if you have stronger lamps, you want to go for less time.